Before 1970, men could expect for the most part that their wife was going to be a virgin on their wedding day. And from 1970 to 2010, the number of women that were virgins on their wedding night dropped to 5%. As of 2024, 65% of people in the United States have had sex at least with one person by the age of 18. The biggest issue is that many studies have shown that the likelihood of your marriage succeeding decreases as the number of women's sexual partners goes up. Now, I want to say before I do dive into this show that there are exceptions to every rule, but I like to give a picture of what is going on in society. So there's always exceptions. So people that have sex before they are married are 2 to 3 times more likely to divorce than those who don't. By their fifth wedding anniversary, only 8 to 10% of virgin couples will divorce. Does that mean that the couples are happy? No. Really, it just shows that the couple isn't divorced. Now, this article was written by a woman. So, this means that she thinks marriage is about happiness. A different study showed that sex before marriage decreased the quality of marriage for women, but not for men. Another study from 2010 showed that women's psychological and emotional satisfaction was increased by the lowered level of guilt that came in part from losing their virginity to someone they were emotionally involved with. A 2016 study sought to answer this awkward question: how much sex before marriage is too much? The answers of 200 internet participants between the age of 18 and 22 were clear. Both men and women found it less attractive when their potential partner had previously had sex with more than 10 partners. 2 or 3 previous partners was highly preferred. Now, we all know we don't watch what women say, we watch what they do on this channel. So a lot of times what women do is when there's a double standard that doesn't benefit us. So body count is obviously a high body count for men, women don't really care about. A high body count for women, men care about. They will not date you, they will not wife you if you've had sex with too many people and he finds out about it. Unless you're like Adam 22. Then I don't know. But what feminists have a tendency to do is they try to make the double standard the same. And you're going to see this from Christian feminists, from left feminists, as they try to make it the same. We all know it's not. I don't even need a study to tell you that it's not. I just need to see women throwing themselves at Drake every single concert he has. And then there's some idea that this just is a special type of ratchet woman. Not true. This is across socioeconomic class, culture, and race. Individuals of both genders were more receptive to higher body counts if they had a higher body count of their own. However, with high numbers of previous sexual encounters, were less tolerant of partners whose number was too small. So that's what the studies say. So let's have a conversation about virgins. Now, it's my belief that both men and women virgins get eaten alive in the modern dating market. Let's talk about adult virgin women. You might think, based on all these stats, that men would want a virgin. I would put an age limit on that. I would say that most adult female virgins are strange, to say the least. Guys, you know what I'm talking about. Think about adult women that are virgins that you know. I've met enough in my life that I can narrow it down to a couple different archetypes of virgin women over, I'm going to be generous, I think you age out at like 21, 22. If you don't meet your high school or your college person that you're going to wait till marriage with, it's probably not going to happen for you, but I'm going to be generous and say 24. Generally, if women are virgins over the age of 24, they like the attention of being a virgin. Attention is currency. If they were serious that they wanted to get married, they would go ahead and do it, but they will reject all of the suitable candidates except instead of saying that the candidates don't make 6 figures, they're not tall enough, they will say that he does not lead me to God, even though that is your own problem. That your religion, what are you going to do if you get married and your husband passes away? Wouldn't it then be your responsibility to lead yourself to God? Anyways, they will keep saying that he is not holy enough, and they will shame any man that even tries. Shaming the male sex drive is super common in church culture, which is why you see a lot of men leaving the church. They do not put up with that BS. The adult virgin woman tends to spend their time with other single women in the church. They will pray to God that their husband will magically come. No work, no putting themselves in social situations, just magic. One example that I think of is Lolo Jones, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit. Instead of submitting to their husbands, they submit to the church elders. What happens when you interpret the Bible one way and your husband interprets the Bible another way? And the church elders interpret the Bible another way. Do you trust your husband or do you listen to the church elders? If he converts to a different religion, are you going with him? If he decides to leave the church, will you follow him? More often than not, especially in Protestant churches, the answer is no. The pastor is who they are actually submitting to, or the doctrine, not the man. No man with options is going to sit and wait. So generally, they will have little to no option. Do you see Brad Pitt waiting till marriage? The answer is no. In general, most guys that have the option to not wait are not going to. They have nothing else to bring to a man skill-wise, and they think their virginity makes up for their attitude problem. They bring their virginity, and that is it. Most of the virgins do not have wifey skills and a bad attitude if they are over a certain age. They have too much anxiety around sex and what could go wrong after they lose their virginity. They're rooted in fear. They want to use marriage as an escape for their relationship burden of performance. They want the guarantee of him not leaving when in life nothing is guaranteed. The act of giving up your virginity guarantees nothing, even if it's on your wedding night. Christians divorce too. Everybody has a burden of performance in marriage. The other type of virgin that I see is asexual and socially awkward. The next type of female virgin I see is lying. They are not telling the truth. They're not actually virgins. They get around this by maybe technically being a virgin, but they've blown like 5 guys. They did anal. They were fingered. I mean, does it really count if you gave 3 guys blowjobs? Let me know in the chat, smart men are not going to believe you over a certain age. Only naive men will. No woman wants a naive guy. I went to Catholic school, and believe me, I have seen women do their workarounds firsthand. They will do everything else and still call themselves a virgin. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. Everyone has a right to do what they want with their body. However, over a certain age, the purity doesn't really count like it used to because there's no guarantee. They have no relationship skills and they don't have the talent to keep a attractive man interested. Women that are virgins have never had to deal with phase 2 of a relationship that happens after sex and is important, where it is important that you are likable. Virgins think they are somehow a good person simply by the fact that they are virgins. They don't put in the work to be a likable girlfriend. What's better, a bitchy virgin or a nice whore? 12, they are fat or ugly. The next, they think they're traditional because they're a virgin, but you can't be traditional in this culture because the woman will always have the upper hand. They want the benefit of a traditional marriage without the responsibility of being obedient to their husbands. There's the Instagram virgins, which will settle for nothing less than a millionaire or billionaire. They use God for clout, to build a brand, and to marry rich. They have no interest in serving a man. They would rather have a man as an accessory, not somebody to obey and start a family with. Okay, so I pulled up some TikToks and I'm going to go through which type of virgin they are.
My sister's really mean to me. She says I'm a loser and that I'm gross and that I'm gonna die alone. I mean, it's true. I don't have a boyfriend and I don't want one. All I want to do is play video games all day. But that doesn't make me a loser. Like, let me play my games. Like,
okay, so this is a 30-year-old virgin woman who's extremely socially awkward. There's no virtue in staying in your apartment, playing video games, and socializing with nobody. God will not send you, I don't know if hers is religious, right? But God isn't going to send you a husband to your doorstep with doing no work.
and so what if I'm ugly? That just means that my goal of not getting a boyfriend will work because then I'll be free to just continue playing video games, Like, who cares if I'm a 29-year-old virgin? I just don't like sex. I'm asexual.
So you guys can guess in the chat, lying, asexual, super awkward. I'd put her as a socially awkward virgin. Now, there will be a simp to wife her up someday. Now, this woman I would put as either lying because she's saying she's a virgin, but her boobs are out and she has really heavy makeup. I just don't really get modesty vibes from her. Call me crazy, but that's my guess on this one.
Virgin has proven to be very difficult in terms of dating. Men get scared off when they learn my truth. They pursue me based on my physical appearance, but then when they find out more about me, they go poof. They dart they go in the other direction. They're scared. Because like you said, we live in a hookup culture. We do. Instant gratification. Our generation is just, one night stands, friends with benefits, no strings attached relationships. But I've held my ground. A one night stand will devastate me. It will. I need a man who will be there for me long term. I'm not desperate for marriage. I'm not desperate for a husband, but I am looking for my soulmate, for companionship.
Soulmates or bust is what I always say.
And to those out there who say, there's sayings out there like, oh, don't drive a car before test driving it, all that stuff.
Don't buy it before test driving it.
Exactly, right. Look at my social media. I'm a dancer. I grew up dancing, as I mentioned, and those who dance well,
they know what they're doing.
Exactly, it indicates their love-making abilities.
So you want to wait until marriage.
Absolutely.
Now we got to think about this from the guy's point of view. One in the chat if you believe that woman has done nothing, that she's 100% pure. Let me know in the chat. I'm gonna read the chat right now. It said, Dane says, Pearl, no such thing as a male virgin. The idea is a product of egalitarianism to say that men who have sex the first time is giving something to a woman or that he loses something. Think about it logically. If a male gives his virginity to her and she gives her virginity to him, do they both still have their virginity? Do they cancel the other out? Virginity is valued by men because of paternity and because men are territorial and protective of property. That gives virginity value beyond simply a physical act like sneezing. Male virginity is a creation of feminists in the Protestant churches. That's not to say that premarital sex for men before marriage isn't a sin, but he's not losing his virginity. What I taught my daughters was that purity and virtue were more important than the concepts of virginity, and that merely abstaining from intercourse didn't really do what Scripture called women to do. Scripture and even non-Christian men value purity and virtue in a wife more than the absolute question of has she had a dude inside of her who. Glenn says she may never had a one-night stand, but she had a boyfriend for one night and his name was Stan. Dane says a woman could be a stone cold virgin 100%, but covered in tattoos, drinking, dressing provocatively, cussing more than a redneck who finds someone in his deer stand and they aren't doing it. Okay, the next one we have is a 30-year-old woman. Now this I would put in the socially awkward category of virgin. So let's make sure the sound is up. Okay.
How to find someone because I'm almost 30 years old and I never had sexual experience or anything with a man. And people tell me that I have this masculine energy and I want to know how to get out of it.
So here's what I always tell women how you can start small. My women who are hyper independent, you grew up in an environment where you had to take care of yourself. There was no one there for you to care for you, so you had to survive, right? So
Yes,
you're
right.
in that survival mode. So I say start simple. If a man, you're going into a building, wants to open a door, let him.
Okay.
Okay?
It's going to be very hard for me.
No. Don't let it be hard. Let it be simple. If you are going into a department store, if you're going to a clothing shop, you can't reach something, or a guy says, I'll help you with that to your car, and he works in a store, allow him to. Start small. Work on little things. Wear a little bit of lip gloss some days. Put on mascara. You don't need a full face of makeup.
Yeah.
Wear your hair down. Put a little something.
So I've noticed with femininity coaches, it's always let him do things for you and put on makeup and hair. It's never about, because when you think of really feminine women, like when I think of the women I knew growing up that were the most feminine, none really cared about makeup, none really cared about hair, and none were really focused on what men could do for them. They were focused on serving their community and serving the people around them. So you guys know the feeling, like when you go to your grandma's house, she's got food ready. Ours had some cookies. It was real nice. We had hundreds of cookies every Christmas. Yeah, but that's what. But it's interesting because the femininity coaches, I would say femininity at its core is selflessness, right? It's giving up your youth for the family. It's giving up your body for the kids. It's giving up your free time for others. Right? And this is why I say, look, I'm not saying I'm a spitting example of what that should be. But you can find examples of women that did that. And you can tell by the way they carry themselves that it's not about makeup, it's not about hair, it's about giving to everyone else. And so that's why, how many commentators that, virtue signal traditionalism give up their career after they have kids. I couldn't find one. And so again, that's why most traditionalism, especially on the internet, it's all cosplay. The real traditional women aren't really online. And they're pretty rare. Most are over 40. You're not going to find many under 40. Those are unicorns.
The shiny on the lip, put a little mascara, okay? Wear bright colors. Smile when you go out. Talk a little bit softer. Listen a little bit, and allow them to do it. What? We know you're independent.
But think about what this woman's going to be like in a relationship. So she's had no relationship experience. Is she going to know how to be a girlfriend? And why would a guy, there's a certain age where it's really better for women to give it up. Because how else are they going to get experience? And I wish I could just virtue signal, right? I wish I could just virtue signal like everyone else and say, just wait till you're married. Well, if you're 30, that is not going to work. Oh my God, that is not going to work. Sorry. Like, do I want to talk about what would be ideal or what is going to work in 2024? No guy is going to risk. He's not going to think, you know what, let me risk the state taking away everything, giving you the ultimate authority and taking your word that you're 30 and a virgin. Now, maybe you've known him your whole life. Okay, that's a little different. Are there exceptions? Sure. But I would say that any guy that signs up for that is foolish. He's an idiot. And the tradcons can virtue signal all they want, but I'm the one being honest. The guys in the red pill, they're the ones being honest. This woman, she would be better. She would get closer if her outcome is she wants to be married with children. She's got to go get some experience. She has to, hopefully with someone within a point of her league,